Hi, I'm Coach MK, founder of the Fitness Protection Program. I'm a run coach, not a life coach. We're never really talking about the running. Running is the tool. It's the conduit we use to examine the world we live in, as well as its impact on our own lives and the lives of the people around us. How we react to certain people and to certain stories tells us a lot about how we view ourselves. I'm committed to the thoughtful, intentional exploration of the importance of running so that no one discounts their own badassery, ever. Final note, this podcast is geared towards every runner who won't lose their home, livelihood, or health insurance if they show up to the corral with a hangover. Not that I'm encouraging you to do that, just saying. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the Fitness Protection Podcast. Hi, just for those of you that are joining, my name is Coach MK of the Fitness Protection Program. You can hear but not see Coach Sarah because we are not yet sophisticated enough to co-stream live. Some days we barely are good wearing pants. Yay, us!
We are still putting out a lot of content for you, so you are welcome. And hello, this is Coach Sarah of the Fitness Protection Program, and you can hear me, and I didn't have to put on fancy earrings, so I am okay with you not being able to see me.
Or pants.
Or pants.
So this is the time each week when we collect all the questions from all our runners and all of the programs. We have 3 suites of programs in the Fitness Protection Program. A third will be opening very soon. Currently, we have 2. I apologize for misspeaking. We have 1, Rebuild, which is for runners that are returning to fitness after a period of not necessarily prioritizing fitness first. And that's okay. We're not here to judge. We're here just to leverage existing muscle memory to get you back to wherever it is you want to be, or forward to wherever it is you want to go. Maintain was designed for folks that have not taken an extended break, but maybe just needed to redevelop that fitness habit with the support of a coach and a group around them. Because you know what? It is really hard to stay on track when you don't have a goal and a coach and a plan. And one of the best ways I've ever heard it described, which was serendipity is a beautiful thing. So is Abby Wambach. She gave an interview on a podcast with Julie Foodie. It was Julie Foodie's very first podcast back, I think, April earlier this year. After I had just, Coach Sarah had informed me that she quit Harvard. And I'm like, well, I guess we're doing this then, huh? And everything really started going together. Abby Wambach described in that podcast and this is what my key takeaway, I don't think I really heard anything else. She said that when she quit, when her last day, she turned to her GM and said, can you still send me a schedule? Because her whole life had been programmed. She didn't have to make decisions. Her schedule was given to her. People took care of things. And now she's like, I'm afraid I'm not going to do basic stuff. If I don't have a game coming up or an event coming up, the dry cleaning's never going to get done. And everyone laughed. They were like, yeah, I still have trouble with that. And that really stuck with me because I'd already put this notion together. But if a professional athlete is like, I don't know what I'm going to do now, that I'm not being told what to do, then there is nothing wrong with you if you find yourself in the same situation. It's not that you're flawed. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you lack discipline or willpower, because guess what, you guys? All that stuff is bullshit. It really is. What you need, we have for you at the low price of $30 a month auto-renewing subscription in fitness protection. We've got Rebuild and Maintain. There will be a single time, not part of the subscription service, a strength beta, 8 weeks long, opening on September the 1st. If this sounds interesting to you and you're like, what's that strength beta? We'll talk a little bit about that if we have time at the end of this. Otherwise, there'll be a one-off podcast. If you are not already subscribing to the podcast, I would recommend doing that now. We're going to have a mini podcast dropping at some point this week, describing a little bit more about the strength beta, who it's for, how it works, and how it fits in our world. And hopefully, if you think that sounds like it would be a good idea for you or something that you'd be interested in doing, I strongly recommend, if you've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit for the month of July, that is great. Again, not judging, but it is too much of a shock to the system to come back and try to get back in the habit and do something really hard all at the same time, which is why so many people who sign up for really big events and training plans don't make it through the first quarter of that training plan. It's not a flaw in anything other than the execution, and we're here to help you make better decisions, consistent decisions, and get everywhere you want to go in the way that makes the most sense possible. So, strength beta, we got a month. Dial it in. Doing 75% of the work 90% of the time is plenty. As far as I'm concerned, that's all you need. The benefits above that are marginal because the trade-offs aren't necessarily worth it all the time. Just ask badass Morgan, who trained for a really big event and is probably going to train for another one. And Julie, but we can't go too much further without acknowledging Julie Patno-Winkler. OMG, what was that? What was that she did last night? Under 18 hours.
100K in the hottest weather we have seen in New England this summer. Triple digit heat index. And she just went and ran 100K in the mountains, like no big deal. Oh my God. I can't believe they canceled that race. It's been so insanely hot here in New England for the last 3 days. It has been like everybody stay inside hot. And yeah, not Julie, I guess.
No, not Julie, not ever, man. I tell you, that was, I was really amused by that because I was getting all these frantic texts like, oh my gosh, they canceled the New York City Trial. They're going to cancel. What's going to happen to Julie? And I'm like, she'll be fine. It's a trail run. Trail running, when I say trail running is terrible, I'm not saying trail runners are terrible. I'm saying the conditions are pretty rough, and they're rough in a way that people aren't expecting. Because the way that we talk about things matter. It matters a lot. And I'm quick to call people out when they're like, I just love nature. Nature's amazing. Trail running, I'm close to God and I see heaven and the angels. And I'm like, well, it's hard. It's a different kind of hard. It's better for your body and better for your joints. I'm like, okay, true. But it presents in and of itself a different kind of hard. And if you are not prepared for that type of hard by the time you get to the trail, you are not going to have that magical experience. And you're going to think there's something wrong with you or your fitness level. Don't do that. But it happens all the time to people I'm not training. Julie has been an absolute delight to train. I've never met anyone, including you, no offense, Coach Sarah, who is more coachable. She's just like, okay.
I can't possibly take offense to that because it's fucking Julie. Like, what am I going to try to compare myself to Julie? No way.
I mean, when you think about any time you've had to deliver information to someone that might not want it, and that is basically my life. It is like, okay, well, we're going to have to do this, and I know what you were expecting this, but we're going to have to do this, or we're going to have to. This is going to be more complicated than we thought. I'm always like, I plot it up beforehand. I think about it really hard. I'm like, I decide what I'm going to say. I run it by somebody that I'm close to so that like I'm not unleashing the full. I want to be I know, like I'm self-aware to know that I'm a whole lot. I'm usually aware of it when I'm releasing the full MK, but you don't need to see the full unadulterated MK experience to know how where a 10 is. So people get a 4 and can be a little horrified. So I'm always, want to be where I come across. And I've never had to do any of that with Julie. It's like, okay, Julie, here's the thing. Here's what we're going to do. Okay. That's it. No questions. And I don't mind questions. It's just, she's just like, okay. And I love that. And so her training cycle, and I really don't take a lot of one-on-one clients, and that's why. But Julie is like a once in a generation type of runner. And I'm like, I am not letting go. What are we doing next? But when we came into this part of the training cycle, she'd been doing so much for 3 days at the fair. And I kept saying it over and over again. You guys, I know this is a lot. I know this is a lot. I know this is a lot, but we got to adapt your tendons, joints, and ligaments to the pavement. And we've got a very short period to do it because we had to get you ready for trails for Rocky. And now we got to adapt your joints. The net running won't go up a whole lot, but all the other stuff around the running is going to be a gigantic time suck. Be ready for that. Everybody after 3 days at the fair, I think, was just like, I am done with this and you, and I might burn my running shoes and like a cleansing fire in the backyard, make s'mores. I don't want to do this anymore. Julie was just sort of like, and I turned to her immediately and was like, just so you know, I'm not checking out. This is actually going to be really easy from this point forward. She's like, okay. And there were a couple of points like, yes, I had the cancer scare, I had the surgery. And I reached out and been like, by the way, not off the radar. I have thoughts for you. 2 big long emails. Here are the thoughts. But her responses to both emails were like, okay. It was so like zen. It made me nervous. Like, is she low key passive aggressive? Like so pissed at me. She can't say anything more than okay. I don't know. The night before she didn't even want, and I was like, look, if you get out there, it's going to be hot and it's going to be hot and it's going to be hard. The one thing you cannot do when it's hot and it's hard is question anything about this training cycle or your fitness level, because you did all you needed to do. You got a little more of your life back. You're stronger than you think you are. So when it gets hard, lean in, just anything other than doubt. And I didn't get a response to that text. So I was like, okay. And so,
okay. Yeah.
And I say none of this would be like, this is what it is, life of a stage coach. I don't know what's happening when I'm not getting information. If I had known there were more people there. I like how people don't even tell me they're going to races anymore because they don't want me texting them incessantly being like, how did she look? Was she pale? But like, what shade of pale? Did she smile? Was it a real smile? And I get that. I'm annoying. I'm really annoying. I care too much. Like, this is why I put it on my runners instead of my children. I'm going to stage coach, not stage mom. So that's why we scheduled some really awesome podcasts yesterday, just so I couldn't do that to poor Patrick. So I was very proud of my restraint there, my willpower.
You were
my
very
discipline.
restrained. Yes.
But Julie, like, oh my God. So she finished in like 18 hours. So she went like a half marathon further than I think she intended to 3 days at the fair in amount of time on a trail that has hills. She got 9,800 feet of vertical ascent. That's like she climbed Mount Sunshine. Mount Sunshine, if you Google it, is one of the 14ers, the 14,000 feet tall mountains that are visible in this from just about anywhere in the city of Denver. When you start, you don't start at sea level. Like you start around 5,000-ish feet. So effectively, she climbed Mount Sunshine yesterday in the blazing heat, roughly the same amount of time it took her to run on paved loop in New Jersey. And that is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. It really is. It really is.
That's a feat of badassery. But I could talk about Julie all day and how proud I am. And I just want to have this on public record at some point before she forgets and I forget and life goes on and we all move on. What she did was spectacular. It was rare and a big part of why it goes so well. The component about Julie that I wish I could bottle and sell when people are like, what is it I need to get to the next level? I would do anything. It's honestly #be like Julie. Julie is just coachable AF. She doesn't say, no, I got it. She doesn't argue. She doesn't try to win. She doesn't try to tell me that she doesn't need to course correct or change. It's just okay. And then she does it. And it's gorgeous. If everyone did that, if they just, and I know this word is very, very loaded, just submit. If you come here and you sort of submit to the plan, you submit to the training, you just do it and you don't get defensive about it because most of us aren't aware when we're getting really defensive. But if you just show up and just do it, like beautiful things happen. You don't, whatever it is you think you need, if I don't give it to you, it's not that I don't love you. It's not that I'm judging you. It's not that I don't think you're worthy. It's just, I don't really think there is no point to doing this super hard thing that you don't really need anymore. All those things you think you need, Julie didn't do any of them. So This is why I laugh about the elements. Are you sure I'm going to be okay without, track repeats? Yes.
Yep.
We really lowered the strength. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, you're welcome. No, but is it enough? Yes. So all that just to say that like what Julie did was really, 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 really incredible. And I hope like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, like she comes back to this podcast, picks it up and is able to play this for her kids. This is how awesome I am. And I don't know why you doubt it because this is the thing I did. And this woman was telling everybody to be like me. Why won't you listen to me? Because as moms, we're all going to have that moment, right?
No kidding. Oh my God. That's like, that's my life like every day. Don't you understand that people respect me and they think that I'm good at what I do? Why won't you listen to me? Yes.
Do you know how many people want to go to Harvard?
Yeah. That's why I like that Roz does the strength videos with me. I feel like it is a little reminder for her every day that like people are paying attention to your mom. Just so you know, you could give that a try.
Mom's cold. I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh. All right. So before we go too far off the reservation, you're supposed to keep me on topic.
Damn it, MK, stop rambling.
No, I just do that. I'm consistently off topic according to iTunes.
Not that we dwell on one iTunes review. That's not our stuff.
But that was the only one for like a week. The first week.
I know. And the words are so meaningful.
I'm like, is that all I get?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all.
By the way, if you're listening to this and you have nice things to say about us, words attached to iTunes reviews really mean a lot. And it takes a lot of 5-star reviews to overcome the power of one negatively worded, verbal review. So please, if you have a moment and you like what you hear and you enjoy the fact that our amazing audio editor puts this into podcast form for you so that if you don't catch us live, you can listen to us on your run for Ask the Coach, please feel free to give us a review on iTunes with your words and tell us what you think.
And one last thing, but I got to brag on our editor too. Am I allowed to say her name? I don't remember.
I think she would have told us if we can't, right? I've said her name a couple of times. She hasn't slapped me, so.
Okay, I'm so used to like people just like operate on anonymity until I get direct because they don't want everybody coming at them asking for stuff. So that someone reached out and a while ago with the list of things they were like, I know you're starting. I will follow you anywhere. Here's some things I could do. If any of these functions would ever be important, let me know. And the thing at the bottom of the list was podcast editing, and I was like, yes. As a matter of fact, I just responded immediately to that, and she really undersold herself. She's taken like and that thing she sent in Slack the other day when she was like, yeah, I mean, I had to go all the way back to my sound engineering class in college. And I'm like, you're what?
Yeah. Right.
You did what? Like, boy, she massively undersold herself. She's really, really good. The last podcast from 3 Days at the Fair, I still can't get over it. That sounded like we were in a studio, and you have no idea how much it costs to record in a physical studio. Plus, whenever you do what Coach Sarah and I are doing right now, I am recording from my computer. She's recording from her computer. There's software that's 2 separate sound tracks. that then have to be cleaned, scrubbed, the fan in the background come out, like the microphone feedback smoothed over. Then the tracks have to be layered on top of each other after she cleans both mine and Coach Sarah's separately. They then have to be matched like a jigsaw puzzle, and from start to finish, because there's this thing called audio drift. It's very, very routine. So it's super careful. It's attention to detail like nothing I possess. I started looking into this, wondering if I could do it myself, because there's a Facebook group and these people were like, oh, sure, anyone can learn to do this. And then I was like, man, maybe I could, but I don't have the time. And I don't have the patience and I don't have the skill set. Like, oh, that is hard. That is hard. And it's so much and it's so minute. The minutia can really spin you out. Because if a podcast or even a song is bad quality, you don't really want to listen to it. You're going to turn it off. If I'm conveying information, this is critical and this is pretty important. So this type of podcast that we're doing right now is called a double ender, where you have 2 tracks or sometimes 3 tracks that have to each individually be cleaned, sewn together end to end if there's a break, and then layered on top of others. So last week we had multiple breaks in Sarah's and my internet connection for a variety of reasons. We had 3 guests and 2 hosts. It was roughly 10 tracks that our editor had to go back and sew together and then layer on top of each other and have them all put together in this massive, massive jigsaw puzzle. That is one of the most complicated things you can do. It's called a double ender. The way she did it is more like what you have to do in a studio when a band is playing and you have 6 mic'd instruments. And that right there starts at like $250 an hour for a double ender type editing and mixing, because it's so complicated. And she has been doing this for free. The super complicated thing that I looked around and decided we just can't do a podcast yet because we can't afford it. We're just not generating enough revenue to make a long form worth it. And she just is doing it, and not just doing it, but doing it so incredibly well. So thank you, podcast editor. I guess I need to remember next time if I can say your name publicly or not, but the service you're providing is invaluable. What she's doing is really, really hard. I would say it's right up there with doing what Julie did, but I love that we can do hard things. I love that we're all doing hard things together. And I love being part of this fitness protection program. And I love you guys for being here with me. With that said, get back on topic and answer some questions, right?
Let's do it. Hit me with the first one. We're doing rebuild first.
When I'm running outside in the heat, if my heart rate stays under 140 and I'm well fueled, am I generally okay? Even though I'd rather go home and crawl in the freezer.
Short answer, yes. And listen, if you're out running when you would rather go home and crawl in the freezer, I was out running when I would rather go home and crawl in the freezer today and the other day as well. And I just salute you. You are awesome being out there and getting what you need safely, staying well fueled, staying under 140. That means, you're doing it safely. You're listening to the right things. You're probably slowing down. You're probably running slower than you would like to be running. And that's probably frustrating for you. It's probably contributing to your desire to go home and crawl in the freezer. If you are doing all of that, that is amazing. However, I will add one thing, which is that if this makes you miserable, then maybe it's time to look at it a little bit differently. Are there any things that you could do that would make it less miserable and more fun and more like, hey, I'm doing this. It's not ideal, but it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to know that afterwards I'm going to, look back at this run and feel like I did something really awesome. If the feeling of wanting to go home and crawl into the freezer is overwhelming and it's just getting your mental game really, really stopped up, I would say, is there any way we could do part of this run on a treadmill? Is there any way we could change up the route to somewhere where there's more shade? Think about what you can do that would make you have more fun and enjoy it more. But in terms of your biometrics, in terms of the signals that your body is sending you, nothing that you say here makes it sound like you are not physically okay. But the mentally being okay, that's a big part of it too. And I think it's important to listen to that.
Totally. 100%. Anything you can do to sort of get through it. I don't remember. I write so much stuff. I think you do. I know I wrote this recently, but I don't know when it came out. One of the tricks that I used to have when I lived in New York City and was training way back when, were gluten-free donuts. I would have, I live near a bakery that make gluten-free donuts, and that is really rare, you guys. Any bakery you go into that has gluten-free stuff almost never has donuts. And they were $6 per donut. So I would eat half a donut after my long runs, but not because that is $3. I would eat $3 after that long run. And God, I can't imagine the restraint I used to have, man. I would just be like, I'm getting all the donuts. Why not? Yay. But a dozen donuts at the beginning of that's like $75 worth of donuts at the beginning of a training cycle, put them in my freezer and cut them up and put them away, and then have one after each of my really long runs. Because it was hard to get out of bed in the mornings as it was with a stressful job. It was harder to run out in the New York City summer heat in some of the places that my run club would go where it just smelled bad and I didn't look forward to it all the time. So that donut was usually enough to be like, all right, I'm going to do it. So that would not necessarily work for everyone. I'm not saying food bribes are the way to go. And I'm not saying you have to earn food at all. What I am saying is find something that works, and bribery does. Bribe yourself if you have to.
Totally works.
If you're like, well, also we can make it a little bit easier and go indoors and do this on a treadmill for a couple of days. The heat wave, for the most part here anyway, seems to pass where it's going to be better. But so all you have to do is run, period. I don't care if you do it indoors or outdoors. All I care is that, that you make a valiant attempt to get it done. Don't look at the treadmill as lesser. This is why God made the treadmill for you. Yay.
Yay. Yeah. Today I was really wishing I had a treadmill, honestly. And I'm not much of a treadmill runner. I don't have one, and I don't actually even have a gym membership. And it is not normally a choice that I make. I would, even in the craziest, coldest temps, even in the craziest, hottest temps, as long as it is not unsafe, I would almost always rather run outside. But today, with no husband at home and, 100-degree heat wave coming in the middle of the day, I was really wishing I had a treadmill so that I could just run while my kids slept, instead of figure out how to get it done outside. It is, if you have access to it, it is a great tool to have, and do not underestimate the great things it can add to your life.
Totally. Because the only concern I ever have with running ridiculously slowly is that your form can fall apart. When you're like shuffling, it can be hard to remember to lock your cage, tuck in, and use good form. So be cognizant of that. And if it's so hot that you can't, either try to go earlier the next time or stay indoors. Like if your form is falling apart, it really doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going. Ask yourself if what you're doing is the best option available to you. If you find yourself falling apart on a really hot day, do I have to be outside? Do I really need to start my run at 11 in the morning in Phoenix when it's 120 degrees? I read about an article about bad water and how, every year someone has to post a photo of their shoe that melted on the course while they were running. And I'm like, I have no desire. If you're replicating those conditions, I don't know that that's better in any way than getting on the treadmill. It's not letting yourself off the hook if your workout gets done. Doing it, you don't get a bigger medal for doing it faster or doing all the training harder. You get the same medal that the winner of the New York City Marathon does when you both cross the finish line. They just get, they get a wreath on top of their head too. And if you really want one, shoot, I'll make an Etsy store for my kids and start selling them to you. Like, it'll be all right. But I digress. Let's move on.
Next question. No more digressing. This question I'm going to ask you. I am kind of starting to wonder about upper body strength. My core and lower body are doing amazing with the strength work, but I'm noticing the muscles in my upper back, chest, and arms are fading a bit. Are these muscles not important to running? And should I just focus on them as an extracurricular to my FPP workouts? By focusing on them, I don't mean I'm going to be hitting big weights or reps, just incorporating some push-ups or overhead presses with dumbbells every now and then.
Okay, when it comes to strength or when it comes to anything, what we have when you're designing a program, particularly a comprehensive one, and to me, comprehensive means like the strength plus running or the whatever it is that's getting you ready for the event plus the necessary accessories. The principle of specificity reigns supreme. Nothing comes before that. So not all strength exercises translate directly into running prowess. Case in point, that person that you meet at the CrossFit gym that is super duper strong is going to take them out for a run. They might not have endurance. So strength does not replace training in any way. That said, yeah, those muscles are important. What it comes down to is trying to make sure that you're getting what you want. Is it okay I give you the bare minimum strength that from a functional perspective that's going to reduce as much as we possibly can your chances of breaking when you're out there doing something repetitive like running on pavement or running on a trail. And when it comes to that, no, I really don't care about your upper back very much. I care about your core more. I don't care about your arms. I care more about your delts and your shoulders, but you're going to get enough of that from being out running and moving your arms back and forth. That's all you arguably need. More is up to you, and that's fine. When we do things like planks or even like a burpee, I'm not caring about your bicep or your upper back. I'm caring about how well your entire kinetic chain is working while it's in motion. I care more about your ability to stand from a seated position on one leg without your knee buckling in. I care about your glutes firing. I'm way less concerned with tertiary muscles that have nothing to do with locomotion. That doesn't mean you can't, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't. If you want to throw in stuff like chin-ups or push-ups on top of the plank, great, do that. If you want to lift some weights, that's fine. Where I tell people to be careful with the weight stuff, if you're like, there's just a couple of things that I really want to do, great, go get your summer shoulders. I'm never going to tell you no. But if what you're saying is like, oh, well, I think I'm going to go do, CrossFit because I want to hit a PR in chin-ups. I'm like, well, if we're in the middle of a marathon training cycle, you're trying to PR two things at once. That's asking a lot of your body. Let's not do that. Everything in balance and everything in tandem. More strength does not necessarily mean more better, because, and the thinking in American society, American culture tends to be more is better because it isn't less. And so if you're doing something really hard and structured and separate that is not coordinated with this program, like CrossFit or Orange Theory, not saying don't do it, saying it's just not coordinated with this. And I can't do that if I'm training you for an event. In fitness protection, in Maintain, you can go do all the other stuff you want to on top of what we're doing. All I'm trying to do is keep your base nice and big so that you can then turn around and use the 10-week marathon ramp YOLO whenever you want to. We're trying to keep that big, good base that you can use all year long without feeling like you're on a diet and you're missing all this stuff. Like, you can't be mentally in that training mode all the time. Like, I don't want to deprive. At the same time, I can't encourage you. Like, just know what you're doing and when, and find that balance. Adding a few dumbbells is not going to tank your routine, but going to CrossFit 4 times a week and really getting into that competitive mentality, that's just a lot to do in tandem with what we're doing here. So maybe you lower it to 2 and keep this, because if we drop too much of the running, then we can't use the marathon ramp. And again, I'm not trying to demonize any other system out there. It's just what I'm trying to demonize is the thought process of more is better. So I'm going to do everything because I will get more results faster. And what you will get is bad knees and a busted lower back.
Does this response change substantially given that this person is in rebuild rather than maintain?
No.
Okay.
I mean, in rebuild, again, I always encourage people to move really gently. The strength work there is functional. We activate a muscle that we might not have used in a while, like your glute. Then we engage it in concert with other muscles around it in the kinetic chain, and then we challenge it. So what we're doing in rebuild to leverage existing muscle memory, we are activating in the first week, and then we're engaging in subsequent weeks. And that's a ramp that kind of takes off very quickly. That is more subtle in Maintain, but it does happen. So I would be very, very cautious about doing anything other than, at least when you're in month 1, lane 1, I would caution against going crazy with like body pump or CrossFit or lifting things. Because if you're coming back after a long period, there's only so much overload you can take before you break. And think about what would have put you into rebuild in the first place. For a lot of people, it's life got in the way and now I'm coming back. But for even more, it's I was injured for a long time and I kept getting injured. And now I would like to come back smart. Great. Let's do that. Coming back smart means doing just this, focusing on it, giving me a couple of months, and then adding in more little bit at a time.
Got it.
But if it's just adding a couple of dumbbells, like to, get a muscle, if you're doing a fly or a reverse fly with like a 5-pound weight, great. Throw those in. That's fine.
All right. Next question. Oh, that is it for rebuild. So we can move over to Maintain.
No. During the marathon ramp-up plan, should we continue to follow the strength circuits that are part of the monthly Maintain plans?
Yes, you should. We will ask you to cut way back in the last 2 weeks, I believe. Is that correct? We'll ask you to cut way back on strength in the last 2 weeks of your marathon ramp-up plan. But for now, yes, absolutely. Continue to follow the strength circuits that everyone else is doing. Keep doing strength with me in the Facebook groups. I am in there every day doing strength, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We don't have strength on Thursdays. And I love it when you can interact with me, but I also love it when you do the strength later in the day. You just kind of watch the video that I leave in there, and then you leave a comment saying, I did my strength. It makes me really happy to see that. So keep it up. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think that was perfectly said.
Okay. Next question. I will ask you this one. I've heard MK mention 95 minutes as the magic number for long runs. Can you talk about what happens in our bodies after 95 minutes and help me motivate for these long runs in the terrible summer heat? Thanks.
What tends to happen on long runs, the longer you're out there when you're running with a group, people tend to stop. They'll stop for water. They'll stop to stretch. They'll stop to tie their shoes. And I'm like, no. I mean, no offense intended to anyone who's really caring about performance and improvement and really increasing their endurance in the ways that matter in, faster finish times in the marathon. Then you've really got to make all of the hard effort and long runs a continuous, unbroken run. We're tapping into a separate energy system, one that's pretty taxing and one that doesn't really need a whole lot of stimulus, which is why, you guys are good training for a marathon with only one long run each week. The more advanced your fitness level becomes, the more we have to challenge that fitness system and the more we have to tap into it. Because again, thinking about like a really fit person as an empty tube of toothpaste, you got to know exactly how and where to squeeze it to get anything to come out. One of the next levers that we pull once you've passed that mythical, magical 9-minute per mile easy effort mark is we add a second long run. And we're probably pulling doubles on top of that already, which is a 2-a-day effort, a second run of the day, at least 2 days a week before I would consider adding a second long run. So to that end, it's not more long runs. Again, more is not better because it isn't less, and more is not categorically better because yay, more. At the same time, it's just knowing the athlete, knowing when to apply it. So the most important run of the week, the one thing that you really need to hold on to, a big part of the reason why you're here is that long run. This is one of those things people say they do in between marathon cycles and don't. So it makes it that much harder for them to come back when they decide, okay, I'm going to get my act together. I'm going to sign up for this race. Then I'm going to run. I'm going to get back in the habit. I'm going to do all the things and then it's going to be great. And I've got to be faster because I've done it before. And I'm like, that logic does not hold. You have not been doing the long run. If you drop that completely, if you've been running 3 days a week, you have not been maintaining marathon level fitness. So the best thing I can tell you is if you're here to get your money's worth, I would hate for you to not get your money's worth. $30 a month. You can spend it on a lot of things. Thank you for spending it on the fitness protection program. Get 95 minutes out of your long run and you've done 75% of the work that was necessary if you also did at least 3 other runs that week. I'm not giving everyone categorical blanket permission to only do 4 runs a week. 5 is strongly encouraged, but 4 will do in a pinch. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, sort of what happens in your body, you're tapping into that long-term endurance energy system. It doesn't need very much stimulus, but you don't really tap into it until you've been doing one thing continuously for 95 minutes, whether we're talking about swimming or biking or running. So the long run is the crux of pretty much any training plan you're ever going to see. So to that end, get the long run done. 95 minutes is the minimum.
Yeah. And just whatever you do, know that if you are getting that done, then you're maintaining the way you're paying your money to maintain. Like that's what you're here to do. And whatever kind of encouragement or pats on the back or whatever you need from us, tell us what you need. Like me on the bike with Roz in the morning mantra the other day, going up the hill, I had to be like, Roz, listen, I'm going to go up this really big hill. You need to cheer for me. You need to say, go, mommy, go the whole way up. Think you do that? And she was like, yep. She didn't go. She didn't keep it the whole way up, but enough. And I was like, you know what? This really does help. And part of the reason that it helps is because I knew that I needed it. I knew that I needed to ask for it. And sometimes you really do have to ask for what you need. And I promise it doesn't make the magic go away when we're saying, you can do this because you told us you needed us to say that. That's what we're here for.
All right. 2 more questions.
2 more questions. Yeah. You read this one.
On the marathon plan, I have a conflict with one of my 16-mile Saturday runs. Is it okay to start the plan a week early and repeat the weekday runs? I know that I will be hiking on that particular Saturday, but probably won't get the time on my feet that the plan specifies.
It is okay to start the plan a week early, yes, and repeat the weekday runs. Absolutely, completely fine. I think we would probably also say that if you start the plan exactly 10 weeks out and that week you just don't get that 16-mile run and you go for a hike instead, that's fine too. I do understand though, and because I would probably be thinking like you, that's the way my brain works. I do not like missing runs because I want to be out there. I want to get it done. It's really important to me to have that time for myself. And so I would probably do what you're talking about doing and structure in that week because that there's something to me that feels very safe about having that extra time and having planned for missing the Saturday run instead of kind of let's see what happens and just go with it, whether it happens or not. So the plan that you propose sounds great. I think you should should do that if that is what you want to do. And I think you'll be fine either way. I hope that helps.
Yay. Perfect.
All right. Last one. I have a question about the strength beta, and I think I know the answer, but I need to hear the words come from Coach MK and or Coach Sarah. I am registered for my first full marathon. Yay. I'm going to be running the Disney Marathon in January 2020. Woohoo. I've been considering running a 10 miler in October to try for a better proof of time and get more time on the course for the Disney Marathon. My goal for the marathon is to finish and feel good enough to enjoy the rest of our family vacation at Disney. If I want to do the strength beta, do I need to forget about getting a better proof of time at the October 10 miler? Thanks.
Well, I wouldn't say, so let's kind of break this apart. As you're going to hear in the other podcast that our editor's working on right now, the one we recorded yesterday when I was trying not to stage coach all over Patrick, Mr. Julie, it's about cheating. It's about cheating and doping, specifically in non-elite runners, which sounds odd, but it's a thing. One of the notes that I make, which I'm sure will be contentious, is that I don't understand why you would cheat to get into Boston when you could qualify where you could run for charity. And the reason that would not be seen as equivalent to someone is partially prestige, but also the race experience itself. As someone that used to run in the front of races, if anyone ever asked me, I would have been like, the New York City Marathon is the greatest marathon in the world. You are never running with more than like 1,000 people at a time. It never feels crowded, ever, ever, ever. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And people are like, what are you talking about? New York. And I did not understand all the pushback that I got about that until I found myself priced out or aging out of the New York system, meaning like enough time had passed, and I've been running with New York Roadrunners for a while, so they had a whole lot of race times for me. And when all of those were too old to be used anymore, that I got stuck in wave 3 and was like, it was a very different race experience. I was dodging runners a lot. I was dodging walkers a lot. People who had signed up and with nothing else to go on, the New York system would let them just make up a time, and they would put the aspirational time. And I'm less like, what is going on back here? So when you are in the right corral, it can make for a terrific race experience. When you're not, it can make for a really bad one, or at least a very different one than what you're used to. And if it's different in a way that it can make it really hard to enjoy. So think about the person who misses qualifying for Boston. They need a 3-hour marathon. They run a 3:09. That's only a 9-minute difference. To take that person, if they were to sign up for charity, you'd be putting them at the back of the race, not putting them with, I get it. You don't want to put them, they didn't qualify. Don't put them with the 3-hour people, but you could put them like with the 3:09, the 3:15. It would be fine. And it wouldn't be equivalent, but that's not what happens. So it's like, do I want to run in the back? No. It's not saying that Boston incentivizes cheating, but that's the type of mentality. It is not viewed as, to some, it would not be viewed, to the person who would then cheat, it's not viewed as another way in, or it's not viewed as equivalent. So I tell you that to tell you this. Number one, why, to break all of this apart, why do you want proof of time? Why do you want a better corral placement? What difference will it make? Is this a prestige thing, or is this a race experience thing? If it's your first marathon and you want the best possible experience, then we need to probably talk a little bit about separately. I'm not questioning Disney. It's a terrific marathon and it's going to be a great race experience. But really, how different will that experience be by getting a corral placement? Which corral do you want to get into? So that's idea number one.
I think she's saying she wants more time on the course. That was my read of the question, is that she wants to start earlier so that, she has more time before the balloon ladies or whatever it is come through to get people out to open up the parks. Does that make sense? So I think there's a pretty, I think that's a pretty clear goal that like she just wants to start earlier so she could have as much time out there as possible.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. I missed that detail. So
no, it's okay.
I'm a little more zen about it because, and it's easy for me to say because it's not me running. The balloon ladies are there. It's a thing. But I think the concern that's put on that is it's undue. This is going to be a very stressful cycle if you are really truly worried about beating the balloon ladies. Most of the people that I train can and will meet that as a goal. So do you really need to stress yourself out with the strength to then get the proof of time? It depends. You can't do the strength beta. And if you're doing a 10-mile race in the middle of it, if the 10-mile race is at the end of this period, I am open to it, but let's talk about what you need to get. And this is the other reason I kind of referenced Boston. It is heartbreaking and difficult to try to race for time. No matter how fit you get, no matter how fast you get, you will, and I promise you this is true, someday if you run a 2:36 marathon, you will be like, it could have been a 235. There's a hunger that never really dies. And I hate for you to show up on that day and have a tummy ache the night before, have it not work out. And now all this work for nothing because you didn't get it the day the race didn't go well. And that is your setup going into the 10-week ramp for a race that's really cool on the happiest place on earth. So I will always, in my non-elite runners, worry more about the psychological damage that can impair training more than I can worry about the physical damage. What you guys do to yourselves is so vicious and it's so cruel that there's no punishing workout I could give you that would be the equivalent of what you do to your own mind and soul when you start. So am I opposed to you doing a race at the end of the strength beta? Not at all. Are you allowed to do a race during the strength beta? Not at all. Do I recommend more time on the course as better? Not necessarily. But if you're convinced that's what you need, and by me saying, don't worry about it, you can't not worry about it, then we need to address it. So God knows no one has ever calmed down because they were told to calm down, especially a woman. So I'm not trying to do that to you. What I am trying to say is let's choose where anxiety needs to go. I'm not worried about you. If you're here doing the work and you do the strength beta, you're going to have a strong race no matter what corral you're in. You're going to beat the balloon ladies. But if that race day doesn't go well and that sets you up for feeling like you had failed, number one, you didn't get this thing that you shot for. And now you're worried, you're feeling like a failure going into an experience that makes you a little bit, that's rocked your confidence a little bit. That is the opposite of what I want for anyone and the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. So that's a lot. That's a long way of saying if you really want to do it, I can't stop you, but let's go back to the Gosford Park question. What good could possibly come from it?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot more to be gained from doing the strength beta and really committing to it and not racing in the middle and possibly compromising it by having to recover and therefore missing out on some of the gains of the program. I'd say there's more benefit in really committing to that than to, like you're saying, racing a 10 miler, putting a lot of weight on that day and possibly, having a really stressful experience for the sake of maybe getting a better corral placement. And not having run Disney, I can't personally speak to what a difference it makes in the race experience. So, take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. It's like, how much of a corral improvement are we talking about? Are we going from the back of the race to the front of the race? Okay, that's a big difference. If there are 27 corrals and you're going from number 24 to 22, that's so minimal that I'm like, let's worry about what do you really need to get? Do you really need to get that thing that you think you need, right? Psychologically, if I can't, I'm going to worry if we don't at least try. That's something totally different. You know what I mean? If I tell you that a worry is this place, let's go worry about this other thing. And you're like, you see that as now 2 worries instead of a replacement worry. And that's how anxiety works. I get it. So I'm not trying to build up, I know Elsa's in your life right now. If you've, what was it, whenever she gets sick and every time she sneezes, little snowmen go running around. If you're
oh my God, frozen fever.
Frozen fever. If your worries are multiplying like those little snowmen, then let's talk. Then we've got a different conversation to have about, because there's going to be a lot to think about and a lot to plan for and a lot to focus on as we get ready for your first marathon. Plus, where you're doing it is not a normal marathon, and I would hate for you to miss out on the super amazing experience of running Disney by trying to, either question your fitness or feeling the need to do anything for time.
Yeah, agreed. Oh my God, I can't believe you just referenced Frozen Fever.
I mean,
Ross has asked to watch that every day. And you know what? The worst part of it is that it's in that Disney animated shorts thing on Netflix and you have to fast forward all the way through the thing to get to the end. Oh my God. So
that's why I just bought it on Amazon. I'm like, it could be $40 and at this point just to never have to
seriously, just make me never have to do it again. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh my God. Sure. Hey, that's our last question. We knocked it out in under an hour tonight. We're really
That's improvement. Take it. We're amazing. And so are you. Thank you so much for joining the Fitness Protection Program. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, if you want to join the Strength Beta, it's going to launch on September the 1st, which means you need 1 solid month and maintain before joining the beta. So go drink all the things in all the pools, but get ready to dial everything in on August the 1st if you're going to join us on September the 1st in the Strength Beta. If you're interested in joining, this will not be on the website. You will have to contact me to join it. I will send a private link when it's time for to make the purchase. runners. Email info@coachdunlove.com. If you have already emailed me, I have it. I'm not going to forget you. Make sure Strength Beta is in the header of your email. It will go into a folder, and I will reply to everyone in that folder and make sure you have the link when it's time to pay for it and then launch the beta. But that is not going to happen until I have August up and running, as well as hopefully Runner Interrupted. I'm still working out things out with 2 more vendors, in which I've finally made a decision there. And I'm not one who usually has trouble making decisions. So that tells you how cool this program is going to be. What Runner Interrupted is a support program intended to help any runner stay tethered, not just to the running community, but also to me, your coach, during a period of injury. Here to help you make all the right choices, the best choices, to not be too much in a hurry to get back to what you were doing before. We're going to move slowly. We're going to move at your body's own pace, and we're going to get you back into rebuild as quickly as we possibly can. That will happen faster if you are participating in Runner Interrupted rather than hurrying through rehab, trying to get back and cutting corners. It's a comprehensive program. It is a good program. I'm excited about it, and we can't wait to deploy it. I had originally hoped to have it out on August the 1st. I'm no longer sure about that, but if you are interested in joining beta when that opens for Runner Interrupted, then please email info@coachdunlove.com with Runner, Interrupted in the header. If you are an injured runner currently getting ready to come back into fitness, you belong in rebuild as we leverage your existing muscle memory to bring you back to where you were before, or catapult you forward to wherever it is you want to go. That is already up for sale on the website. Go ahead and jump into rebuild. I've gotten a lot of questions. Runner Interrupted is for someone who is currently injured. Rebuild is someone who has specifically been released by their PT to resume normal activity. It's also for people whose life is a little busy at the moment. Maintain looks like a little too much work. Rebuild is a place for you where you can keep the habit of running in your life. You can keep that real estate on your calendar. You can keep that tethered to us and keep moving forward. And the chances of you getting, again, graduating, moving over into Maintain are phenomenally higher if you're at least trying to play with us and play nicely in rebuild. All I need you to do any of the time is 75% of the work 90% of the time, and you are good. You're doing exactly what you need to do. More is not categorically better all the time. Go hard or go home. Y'all misunderstanding how good my home is and how badly I don't want to go hard. With that in mind, the final thing I want to say about the Strength Beta, if you are unable to participate at this time, but it sounds kind of interesting, you will not be left out. We're going to be opening that up several times per year. It will not be an ongoing subscription. It will be a 2-month one-time purchase, opening up 4 times throughout the course of 2020, presuming, of course, that the beta goes well. The next one will be opening on January the 1st, and we're going to give you lots and lots and lots of heads up about it. If that doesn't work for you, there will be another opportunity after that. If you sign up for the Strength Beta and life gets in the way, we don't do refunds, but what we will do is assure you that you're going to be fine, give you a 50% discount code, and you can rejoin us whenever. And that 50% discount code will be valid for the price you paid before. So if the price of the program rises at any point, you will be paying 50% of the price that you paid before, not the current price on the website. If you come back 3 years from now, I will still honor that code.
I think everyone should be really excited about the Strength Beta. And if, like me, you are running a marathon this fall and therefore Strength Beta is not good timing for you, September the 1st, come over in January. That's when I'm going to be doing it, and I cannot wait. In the meantime, I will be coaching in the group as you do the Strength Beta, and I will be feeling all the FOMO as I watch you do all these super cool workouts, strength and running workouts, because it is a comprehensive program with both strength and running. I'm going to be coaching you and I'm going to be cheering for you. And on the inside, I'm going to be able to be like, oh, why can't I do that? And there's a really good reason why I can't do that. It's because I'm training for a marathon, but I'll be really looking forward to taking it up in January. Yay!
It's going to be good. And we're not exactly sure the timing of the next 3 after that. Don't worry about it too much. Just know it will be opening up again at least 3, possibly 4 times over the course of 2020. But we got to take one step at a time. Coach Sarah can't do all this strength every day, y'all.
No, I cannot do all this strength every day. I have I have the correct amount of strength right now, if not possibly sometimes a little bit too much. And my PT is not worried about me needing more strength. So I'm going to listen to him and stick with what I've got.
If you've been listening to the podcast up to this point, thank you very much for staying with us. One final note about the Strength Beta. If you do not have a fall race on tap, if there's nothing that's interesting you, if you find yourself losing a little bit of motivation and you don't really know what to do, the Strength Beta could be a very interesting option. It's only 8 weeks long. It's very, very good. It's fun. It's interesting. You're going to get a lot out of it. And then you'll have the option to race at the end of it, not a mandate. I don't ever care if you race or not. It's more like I need you to not race while we do this progressive series. Once that progressive series is is over, all you need to do is not stop. If you are kind of having a little FOMO watching all your friends get ready to go into racing season when you know you're not ready and you're not really there, like the running that you're going to see in the strength beta is not more than what you would be seeing in maintain at the moment. So if you need a little bit of motivation, if you need a little inspiration, if this got your attention because you are not racing this fall, then that is a very good reason to come join us in the strength beta. Just know it's a lot of work and we're up in the ante from an intensity standpoint, a good amount from maintain, but it's only for 8 weeks.
And it's going to make you so strong and you're going to have so much fun doing it. And there is a really good crowd. I have to say there's a really good crowd of super cool people that have expressed interest. So it's going to be a fun group on September 1st.
But if you guys are also interested, and this is an idea that I've been toying with, as I mentioned, I'm on the board of the Blue Bench. It's a nonprofit based in Denver. We're trying to reduce or prevent sexual assault through advocacy and education. And I am trying to put together a holiday fundraising drive, and I'm thinking of tying that somehow with a strength challenge. And I've got a couple sponsors that are willing to donate some pretty cool gifts and things that I'd be adding to it as well. So I'm thinking about this. If that sounds interesting to you, if you'd like to participate in some sort of a holiday drive, do let us know. And finally, if there are any holiday conversations that you are not looking forward to, we'll be incorporating those things that you're not looking forward to, giving you hints that will be tying in as well. So let us know, email info@coachandlove.com if there is a holiday conversation that you know is going to be coming and you really don't want to have it. Email me, let me know, and we're going to be working that into this holiday drive one way or another.
Woo! So much stuff coming down the pike. We love you guys.
It is. I'm busy. Tell you, I get when I am supine with a BlackBerry. I'm never letting that from my cold dead hands, y'all. Cold dead hands. I get a lot done.
You do. Your brain is upright as fuck.
Much to my husband's chagrin, because I had an idea again at 3 a.m, and I reached over and picked up my phone, and that was around the same time that Julie had just finished. And he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "She's finished. It's what I've been waiting for." And then I just sat there and banged out work. Like, an idea out for another.
Oh man!
At some point, I'm going to have to go back to out of this mode and sleeping through the night again. But it's great to give birth to something that can't yell at me, like the baby Violet yelling at me lately. She can now very casually take her pacifier out of her mouth, say no, and then put it back in. And I'm like, maybe that's a sign she doesn't need the pacifier anymore, but she's my last baby. I no longer have fallopian tubes or an ovary. So guess what, y'all? She's going to keep that pacifier as long as she freaking wants to.
Peak Violet. That is peak Violet.
Yeah, we're peak Violet now. Oh my God. Well, this is my life. I hope yours is good. You're coached. You are loved. Let's go win it the week ahead. And remember, if you're joining Strength Beta, this is your last week to drink all the things in all the pools and have all the fun before we dial it in on August 1st. Enjoy it. Take pictures. Tag us with #CoachedAndLoved either on Instagram so we can see it and like it. We want to see what you're drinking and what you're doing. And we'd even like to see it when you're running too. Have an awesome week.
Your coaches are proud. We love you.